Hello, this is Kate with Kate's Paper Creations, and I welcome you to my weekly current catalog projects on my video and blog channel. And I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Washington State. Glad to have you join me, and I would love to have you shop with me, and the link to my online store will be in the description below. Today is the second in a series of videos that I am making. I had to make one for my Simply Saturday, one for my current catalog, and one for my Blast from the Past, and I used the same set of stamps for each one of them, and just showing you some different things that you can do with it. So the first one was the Simply Saturday, which has already gone out on Saturday, of course, and now it is Monday, and it's time for a current catalog item. So the items, this is the card we are making today. And yes, I'm tired of Christmas. I have moved on. So it's definitely a Valentine type of card, although it doesn't have to be. It just says you make me happy. So it could be just about anything. But I am using these two things. Meant to Be stamp set, carried over from last year's mini catalog that came out in January. And the stamp set, or the dies, excuse me, that go with it, Stitched Be Mine. And it's got all these lovely dies, borders, and all kinds of things in it. Really pretty. So I'm barely scratching the surface, even with these three videos that I'm making. So, but let's get started and let's make this one. So I'm bringing in some current product that is absolutely lovely. Of course, we're starting with a 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4 piece of Whisper White Thick. That creates the base, and it's going to be a top fold card. Then I cut some regular Whisper White, 4 1/4 by, or no, 4, excuse me, by 5 1/4, and I embossed with one of the new embossing folders called Wrapped in Texture, and there's two different ones in there, and I used the one that has the dotted background instead of that kind of hashtag background or the houndstooth background. And it's just a narrower folder, not as wide as our typical folders, as you can see. And I just did the top part of this because I'm going to be adding some other things to it. Next, I cut a piece of the Peony Garden, I believe is what it's called, Designer Series paper. Yes, it's 1 1/4 by 5 1/4, and I am going to just attach it to the front of this. Let me find my adhesive. There it is. And I just lined it up with the edge, just like this. Like that. Then I took another piece from that same Designer Series paper, and it's kind of a mottled pink, and this is petal pink is the color in this. And I used the border die that is in the Stitched Be Mine dies. And when I'm doing a thin piece, this was cut 3/8 of an inch thick by 5 1/4. And when I'm doing something like this, I'll just show you on the edge of the card here, even though we're not going to cut it. I get me some washi tape, and I will put it down where I need it to be and tape it in place so that it stays perfectly straight. Otherwise, it has to move. So I just wanted to be sure and tell you that. And I put either, you're going to want to put a long piece or a couple of short pieces towards each end so that it doesn't do this. Okay, that's what I did to get the border on this. And I am going to attach this just like this to the front of the card. And there's a couple of ways you could do this. I'm going to use my Zig 2-way glue pen to attach this. And I'm just going to put a bead of glue down it. Get a hold of it. And I'm just going to use the edge of that piece I put on there to make sure that it gets straight. Just like that. That was easy. Okay, then I stamped this design right here with Tuxedo Memento black ink onto white Whisper White cardstock, just like this. And then I colored it with Petal Pink Blends pens, and I used the dark blend pen, and because it's such a small area, I used the fine point end. And I colored these two flowers, just like this. Just like that. And then I brought in the Old Olive Light, and again I used the fine tip end. Get it to come open. And I colored the little leaves and things on here. And I added some color around in those little swirls. It looks just fine. Okay. When you're punching this out, you will get this, and you're using this die from the Stitch to Be Mine set, and it will cut out both pieces. So I stamped it and then cut it out and then colored it. And this piece that I used for this was 2.5 inches square to make sure I had enough room. And so this and this fit together like this. And I wanted this whole thing, and I wanted to be able to raise it when I put it on the front of the card. So I'm going to show you what I did. I took this die and I put it down on top of a piece of scrap paper, and I traced around the inside, around the outside, excuse me, of this die. And then when I cut it out on the inside of my tracing line by quite a bit to make sure that it would not show when I put it on the back, because I am going to attach this like this. So I end up with a backing for this piece. And again, I'm going to bring out my two-way glue pen, and I am going to put some dots of adhesive around this. And I am going to put it on here. And it doesn't have to be exact or pretty, because it's not going to show once we get it done. Oops, let me get it on there one more time. I got impatient. I need to wait for it to dry. And you just want to make sure that the scrap or note paper, and it's just very thin note paper, just scrap of whatever, copy paper or whatever. And you just want to make sure that none of it is showing around the edges, and it's not. And then this piece, I'm just going to put some regular adhesive on the back and fit it into the center. It's where it came out of, and it'll fit perfectly right into there, just like that. And that gives it a backing so that I can raise it up on the front of the card when I get ready to finish the card. Okay, I'm going to stamp it with the stamp that says "You Make Me Happy." And I'm going to just use my Petal Pink. It's kind of a soft color. You could stamp it with black. It would show up better, but that's totally up to you. I'm not worried about being square or straight. I want it at an angle, and there it is. Now let me get my card front, and we're going to attach this to the card front, and it's just going on flat with regular adhesive. Just like that. Yeah, that looks good. And then this gets dimensionals. Let's get some out here. I just put 3 on, that's all it needs. And see, don't stick to my surface. And then I just stuck it on here like that. And there's the card front. Now I also took from the set this little stamp. It's got kind of a little flower in there or some kind of a design. And I took this on the inside of my card, and I just added a little row of these going like that down the inside of the card. So there is my current catalog sample for you to share today. Thanks for stopping by.